Hey everybody, DoctorDeadwax, Mark here, back for another recent vinyl finds. I'm going to try and get through as much of this as I can, but I'll stop it before we hit the 78-minute mark. That I promise. Just more stuff from that pile I got on my first buy that some people wanted to see all of, so I'm just working my way through it, cleaning it, listening to it, telling you what I can find. First though, Mark, Glass Orchid Aftermath, the other day he put out like the good energy, the go find buy, and it works. So if you're sitting around and you're not doing anything, get up off the couch and go find something, because he's put out the good energy and it works. And the thing I got, which I'm not going to talk about now, I'll talk about at some point in the future, but holy crap, man, I didn't even know what it was until I got it home and looked it up. So, Mark has the good energy out there, people. Take him up on it. I want to see videos of what you found, too. Jeff, go. Find something for $1. That's awesome. So here's the first thing. Lindisfarne Dingy Dell, 1972, U.S. pressing on Electra, 5000 series. So I don't think this is of any interest to you, Mark, but if it is, it's yours. Just let me know. This kind of down my alley. I mean, Irish descent, like the folk rock, like the Celtic folk rock, and this is good stuff. It's not uber brilliant, but it's highly listenable and very enjoyable. Here's another one I got for $1. It's a little band some people know. They're called the Grateful Dead. I mean, this is just pooch. This pressing, this record is just junked. But I mean, like I always say, you can't listen to the covers. And the record is in pretty good condition. It's, of course, not a first pressing. It's like just a complete and utter mutt. But it's got the artisan symbol on one side and some other nothing deadwax on the other. It came with an original winner for Electra Asylum. Great album. I hadn't heard this album before. Never was a big Dead fan. Just starting to buy it now because I'm seeing it finally at reasonable prices, as in $1. And I think I'm just going to keep buying more. This is a really good album. The only other one I had before this was Working Man's Dad, which is great. And I was lucky enough in the summer when I bought a collection, I got a first Canadian of that. So this is a U.S. pressing. Probably dates to like 78 to 81, 82. Back to the Lindisfarne for a second. This one was kind of cool in that it had this really beautiful inner sleeve that I've never seen before. This is a U.S. pressing. I never have seen this in a Canadian Electra, so that was kind of cool to find. Next is an album by just a Canadian icon. Lots of people, this is Bruce Cockburn's Sun Wheel Dance. Lots of people don't really like Bruce Cockburn, even up here. You either love him or you hate him. He's that kind of guy, but I think he's brilliant. He's a stunning guitar player if you just listen to what he actually plays. And I think he's a really good songwriter. I think it's unfortunate that his, rocket launcher and stuff like that, that's not what this is about. This is his third album. This is just great folk rock. And it's kind of all over the boat. This is a U.S. pressing. It's got this Columbia symbol on the back, which my first Canadian doesn't. But this record is actually made in Canada for the U.S. market. I couldn't find my copy right now because my record collection is in squalor. It has been for 2 years. But I'm pretty sure mine doesn't have that symbol on it, so I'm going to have to look for that at some point. Next is just an awesome record, Billy Cobham Crosswinds. This is a solo album by Billy Cobham, and it's got a great list of players. John Abercrombie, Michael Brecker, Randy Brecker, Garrett Brown, Billy Cobham, George Duke, Lee Pastora, John Williams. I mean, hell, that's a monster lineup. Sadly, this copy is absolute garbage, so this is actually going to be thrown out as soon as I finish this. There's no way that this can be released back into the wild. It's got a nice inner sleeve. It's just on the, see how bad it is? It didn't get an inner. There is one interesting thing about this record. On one side in the Deadwax is written by hand in all caps the word Trident, and on the other side is written Razzle, R-A-Z-E-L. Now Trident would be Trident Studio in London, so even though this is US press, it looks like the plate was made in London at Trident Studios. And usually Trident Studios have Rays, R-A-Y-S, in the Deadwax, and that stands for Ray Staff, who was the mastering engineer that worked there. So this has Razzle, R-A-Z-E-L. I don't know if him and Peckham were out for beers and he was telling him that he uses all these different variants of his name. I don't know, but I mean, I'm just making an assumption. I don't know this for certain, but I wouldn't be surprised if Razzle is just an alternate naming that Ray Staff has taken, as opposed to signing it Ray's. Drum solo on this is awesome. If you're a drummer, you should learn how to play like that. It's a great record. I can't wait to find a better pressing, because it's something I would listen to a lot. Another Billy Cobham, George Duke Band, live on tour in Europe. This is a funky mother. Great album. Highly recommend it. It's from a whole bunch of dates across Europe, in like Oslo, Cologne, Vienna, from like July 1st to July 29th. Billy Cobham, George Duke, Alphonso Johnson, and John Schofield. Say more. On Atlantic. Interesting. Somebody was showing, was it School Days by Stanley Clarke? And they're showing their inner that was like an original, and it had this. So I don't know if this was a standard inner sleeve for Atlantic at that time, or if that was just in School Days, and this is just, you know, found its way in here when somebody misfiled their collection. And when somebody else asked, when I put things in an inner sleeve, what do I do with the inner that was in there? If the inner has anything on it, any writing, even so much as a product code or made in Great Britain, just in little stamp or anything, if it has any sort of writing on it, it goes back in the record. If it's just plain blank, it gets pitched. Plain blank white. If it's colored at all, it goes back as well. Next is a fantastic record. This is Tom Scott, New York Connection, 1975. I was listening to this record and I was just like, this record sounds like New York City around the beginning of Saturday Night Live. It just has that total sound, feel, energy. Obviously some sort of cross-pollination was going on there. Most likely. He might have, who knows. Anyway, I played this for my wife and I asked her, what does this remind you of? And she said, New York City. So, and she hadn't seen the cover or anything. So this totally works. Awesome players on this record. Tom Scott, of course, Eric Gale, Hugh McCracken, Bob James. So, just fantastic. Steve Gadd on drums. And this is, you know, this has, somebody's talked about Tom Scott before. I think they were talking about the album of his on Electro Musician, and I was commenting that that's pretty damn weak, and sadly, even though Electro Musician had so much promise, it seems like almost everything I've heard that was released on Electro Musician is pretty weak. This is not. This has got all these guys who were still playing together, like, and doing the overly smooth stuff later. Gad was like on every smooth thing in the world. This is awesome. So this is one of my strongly recommend. Might be Tom Scott's best album. It's definitely his best I've heard to date. This is one I'd never heard before. Synergy, electronic realizations for the rock orchestra. Holy shit! Check this out. This is like a synthesizer prog masterpiece. I'd never heard of this before. I'm sure Chris has shown this in a video I have yet to see, but holy crap! Buy this record. This is on Canadian Passport on an interesting variant of the Passport label that I to date had not seen. Nothing special in deadwax, just a little script cue means it was probably pressed at quality. So this is a Canadian pressing, really clean. The music on this is just incredible. I mean, he credits Wakeman and John Anderson. He did a great, he was making electronic music and stuff, and he did a radio interview with Rick Wakeman at the time, and then Wakeman asked him to come to England to work on, help them with sounds and stuff for Tales for Topographic Oceans, and they got him a record deal apparently, and this is the result. And the guy's name is Larry Fast. And he does everything. He performs everything. He composes everything. So anyways, Synergy, fantastic record. Buy this record. I mean, if you like prog at all, if you like Rick Wakeman, if you like keyboard, electronics, this is a seminal base, like, starting point. Next one, Ray Charles, Genius plus Soul equals Jazz, Impulse Mono A2. Now, this guy here, Holtz, I love you. Thank you for dropping off all of your records the same day because I bought them all. Thank you. Fantastic record, great stuff. I mean, it's not, it's the Ray Charles jazz. It's not Horace Silver. It's still fantastic. This is a brilliant record. Arrangements by Quincy Jones and Ralph Burns. This is on the original Impulse label, so that's another great find. Could not do any better than that. Next is Charles Hodge, Earth's Magnetic Field. They do readings of the Earth's magnetic field all over the world and they're recorded in 3-hour intervals. This was plotted for the year 1961 or something, and this guy Charles Dodge, he took these readings and the plottings of them and created music based around it, and it's really interesting. It's like a experimental electronica. One of the first, this is from 1965. It's on None Such, so sadly it has that issue that I find so many None Such records do. Music's really interesting, but I find my personal experience with None Such is they just did not use very good quality vinyl. So, do you have this, Derek? Have you shown this, Chris? Has anybody heard this? This is really different. It's interesting. It's obviously early in the computerized music field, and I could see how it influenced a lot of things. So that's, I'm about halfway through that. We're at 15 minutes. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day. Keep the record spinning, and I'm going to do another one.